as I was saying before, Mohawk College also has a policy on harassment for its employees. So we'll see if we can get there. Okay, so I click that link up here at the top, and I'm brought over to Mohawk's policy on harassment. Starts right up at the top here. Okay, it's our policy, and again, you can get it yourself from the PowerPoint slides. Okay, it defines harassment. It gives you examples of different types of harassment. Remember I said before that sexual harassment is one of the more common ones, so they've kind of focused in on there, which makes a little bit of sense. Okay, but I also think it's interesting that they have a section there on what harassment is not, because a lot of people may say, well, you changed my work schedule. So you're harassing me, you're upsetting my life, so that's harassment and you can't do that. Well, guess what? An employer can if they have a good business reason for doing it, and there's nothing that precludes them from doing it. Workplace inspection. Sometimes the Ministry of Labor wants to come in and inspect your workplace, and part of the requirement is that every workplace has an employee committee that will also be allowed to inspect the workplace. So your own employees can come in and do that. So you can't say that you're being harassed because somebody wants to conduct a workplace inspection. So certain things that are not considered harassment. So it's not enough to know what is harassment. You also have to know what is not, eh? So again, looking at the roles and responsibilities, supervisors and managers have a duty to make sure that if they see any harassment or their employees doing something that they consider to be harassment or bullying, that they pull their employees aside and remind them of it, because they're responsible for creating a positive working environment, right? Employees as well, they have a duty to comply and participate in any kind of training, okay, any kind of training. In order to make sure that they are aware of what the company's policy is, and they take training to understand harassment, what it is and what it isn't, right? And they talk a little bit about training here. Now, when we look at reporting procedures, the first one they say is to speak up. And one of the things I know as an HR professional is many times employees don't speak up because they're afraid that if they say anything, they'll get fired. Well, under the Human Rights Code, we're going to see in a bit that, nobody can fire you for, doing what you're supposed to be doing, that you have a right to do under the Human Rights Code. So you should speak up and let somebody know. You should speak to the person who is being offensive. If you're afraid to do that, then you can certainly go talk to your boss or that employee's boss to see if maybe they can help. And sometimes, there are concerns, or if there are concerns about speaking up directly to the person who committed the offensive behavior, okay, you can go to the HR department. Now that's our practice, this is Mohawk College, but when you're in a work environment yourself, if you see somebody being harassed and you don't want to go up to that person, especially if it's your boss who's harassing one of your coworkers and you say, oh, I don't want to approach him or her because they might start harassing me, you can go to HR with it, eh? So those kinds of things, that's part of what's in our policy to protect us as employees, and most employers have that. Now, under the Human Rights Code, you do have rights and responsibilities, so we're going to take you there. Okay, just to kind of guide you through, and they talk about it a little bit as well. Okay, so again, this page opens up here to punishment for exercising your rights. So in other words, you have the right to report or to speak up if you see somebody being harassed or bullied. You shouldn't be punished for exercising your rights. Or even if you're the one being harassed, you should be able to go and speak to somebody in confidence about it, whether it's your boss or the HR department, and not be punished. If your boss is mistreating you and you talk to them and then the next day they fire you, they can't do that, right? That's punishment. So again, it talks a little bit in this link about some examples of harassment, what harassment is, and some of the rights that you have, and you shouldn't be punished for exercising them. So I think it might be a good thing if you want to go back and just have a look at that. All right. In the next video, we're going to talk a little bit about employment equity, and we're going to tell you about what employment equity is and a little bit about the groups that are affected by employment equity legislation. So we'll be right back.